Well, hello, everybody. Dave Finale here, and this is episode 45. That's right, 4-5 of Real Estate Talk TGIF, and you know what that stands for. Thank God it's finale, not thank God it's Friday, even though it is Friday. But we do this here on 11 a.m. Eastern every Friday. Sometimes we adjust depending on our guest, but today I'm honored to have a newer friend, but a good friend from Atlanta, Georgia, right, Mike?
That's right.
Right, Atlanta, Georgia. It was Century 21 Connect. Mike and I met in some masterminds we were in a few years ago, and Mike has always impressed me as just a number one, down to earth, really good man, good person. And you guys have heard me over the years, the past couple of years, quote him. And Mike is the one that taught me that the best way to get customers and to work with customers is to use two simple words, and that's be nice. And that's where I get that from. I get that from Mike Prewett. And here he is, Mike Prewett. Mike, thanks so much for coming on and being with us today.
Hey, Dave. Thanks, and hello, everybody. So be nice to me, Dave. Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, Mike, you've been in the business 30-some years. Please tell me your story. Tell me your story and where you went from the beginning to where you are now.
Okay. Well, I don't know how interesting it is, but I'll share it with you. I got started when I was 25 years old in 1987. And my first few years, I really struggled. I almost didn't make it. There were a couple times when I thought I was going to have to go get a real job. Wow. And I really struggled. And then I got lucky. I was fortunate. I ran into somebody who kind of adopted me. He was a mentor to me. He wasn't in real estate at all, but he understood sales. And all in real estate was pretty much useless. And this guy, for whatever reason, took an interest in me and really helped change my mindset, my perspective, and showed me what was valuable. And from that point, my business really started to take off, and it grew through the years. To the point where in 2014, I just decided that, I had sold more homes in my career, and I just didn't need to do that anymore. My wife and I had been reasonable and responsible with our money, and I didn't need to do it anymore. I've been doing it for a long time. Century 21 emerged on the scene at that point. I thought, well, this is a chance for me to have a second part to my career, maybe help some other people with help that I never got, and really be a challenge to me too, to give back to an industry instead of just sitting around complaining about it all the time. And so in 2015, I took on a franchise with Century 21 here in Atlanta, and that's been like the best decision I ever made. I'm just having a blast with that.
Well, that's great. You decided to do that. You had lots of choices, and you chose Century 21 over all your other choices. And I guess, as you said, you were at the right place at the right time for that particular thing to happen, right?
Yeah, they came along right when my wife Jane and I were having the conversation about, do I want to keep doing this, or am I suffering a little burnout, or is there another challenge out there that would be interesting? And they emerged on the scene, and there are a lot of brands. There was a lot of ways I could have gone on, but I'm not going to make this a commercial for Century 21. I believed in the people, and I love the resources that they had available and the reach. And so I thought it was a good opportunity to take advantage. But more than anything, what I wanted to do for, maybe the last 10, 15 years of my career, I don't know, we'll see how long they allow me to stay here. Can I help other agents get the help that I didn't get? I don't want them to be lucky. Can we show them a practical way of growing and managing their business so that they can achieve the goals that they want to achieve?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And you said something telling your story that someone took an interest in you. And one of the things I've heard you say over the years, and I actually did a video, I think almost mimicked what you did. And I always worried if you saw it, you'd say, you copied me, Dave. But you said, when did it change where the broker is not a lead generator, is not bringing leads for their agents and all this other stuff? That
Right.
coupled with what you said, someone took an interest in you. And I know there's still brokers around that will help agents, but I think that's really key. Wouldn't you agree?
I think so, Dave. One of the disappointments I have with the industry at large is that at some point since I got in, the brokerages have figured out how to make money off the agents, whether the agents make any money or not. And that just creates this huge Grand Canyon of a disconnect between the two. And when the brokerage can be profitable because you get really big, like you have hundreds or thousands of associates, and if you're big or you're with a big company, I'm not disparaging that, as long as they've found out a way to still coach and mentor the individual agent. But this disconnect between the brokerages and the agents, this has got to be fixed because everybody's dissatisfied.
Well, we talked about and with the big brokerages, we talked about what's the more important thing. Is it money? Is it support? Is it lead generation? Is it lead conversion? I mean, what really is it? What number one, what is the agent looking for the most part? And number two, what should they be looking for? And what do you think is important for them?
I think this, wouldn't it be great? It would just be so awesome. Like if it was one thing and I could just come into work every day and I could just say, hey, look, we generate leads for our agents. And that was it. But it's not, it is that it's a responsibility, I think, of the brokerage to have a business generation program to help their agents. The agents shouldn't be reliant on it, but it should be an addition. I think support, one word I always hear, and support means things. So here in my operation, we have one broker for every 13 agents, because I think that's important, that when you have an issue, there's somebody available to get one-on-one with you. And I think technology, I think it's important. I don't think it's everything, but I think it's a piece. I think all these things are important, and it's not just one thing. It would be great if it was, but it's not.
No, it's not, because there's just so many things out there. I like noise. There's just so much noise out there. And I want to welcome John Cheplack, who happens to be watching, who says one of the most prominent people in the industry, and I agree. Thanks, John, for tuning in, and everyone else that's here. I wanted to go further with that and say, it's you see these new business models, and we've talked about that. And the question I have for you is, with the new business models, we've seen this 4-letter word, team, right? And basically, I think 80% of it is kind of misused or misappropriating. And what I mean by that is that there are great teams out there that really are like the new type of brokerage almost within the brokerage. And they're not acting as a brokerage, but they're lead generating. They're really doing a lot of great support things. And it's almost like they're really working a great business and have taught the new agent how to be a business person in that thing. Have you seen the same thing that I'm talking about here?
Well, first, there's no kind of pressure like having John Cheplack log in. So now it's game time. Second, I don't know if I'm the right guy to speak to this, Dave. I'm not a big team guy, though. In my business, I had a team. It looks a lot different these days. And I say it for this. And let me first offer the caveat to this. It's a very small number, but there are some teams around North America that are valid and smart and providing a lot of value to the agents on the team. I don't doubt that. I've met some of these. John works with a lot of them, and right. There are those. Most of it, I'll say 95% of it's a bunch of junk. And it is okay. So we're into why do I want to be on a team? I want to be on a team because I want mentoring and coaching, and I want some help with business generation. Okay, I don't meet very many team leaders that I think are capable of coaching and mentoring other people. I think they're still working on themselves. Too many of the ones that don't have the time to do it or the necessary skill set. As far as the business generation stuff, like there's like a billion internet buyer leads being generated a year.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's awesome, but there's only 5 million transaction states. So we're generating 200 times more leads than we are transactions. And agents are complaining about this every day. These leads are a bunch of junk. And we've got this game going on where we put the blame right back on the agent for not being able to capture and convert those leads into closings. But generated 1 billion leads for 5 million transactions. So it is a lot of junk. And I'll make this contention that is being on a team and giving up so much of that money in hopes that you're going to get coaching and mentoring is the most expensive lead generation program I'm aware of. You could have generated your own leads at a much lower cost. And I'll even make the contention, why are you trying to generate internet buyer leads? Why aren't you, for the same time, effort, and money, why don't you focus on generating listings and you'll get your buyers for free? So I'm not a great team guy. I think it's a lot of junk. It's a lot of noise. Some of the bigger brands have endorsed it because it turns their agents into free recruiters for them. I get that. But at the individual agent level, I'm just not a fan.
Well, let's turn that team thing. And I agree with you when it comes to the discussion on teams and everything else. I think a lot of them, I think a lot of them are self-serving. I think a lot of things like that happen because of what we were talking about with lead generation for brokerages, et cetera, and not happening anymore. So they decide, well, I'm doing the generating. Why shouldn't I do that? But let's transition that into the agent itself and lead generation of them. And you know, over the years we talk about, and I have been a huge proponent of. I want to first say hello to Issa, who says hi, Mike and Dave. He's out of Maryland, a friend of mine. But I want to talk about practice. I want to talk about the agent dialogues. I want to talk about what we're doing out there as far as getting business. Now, there's in my area, I know that we discussed, and I know throughout the country, we discuss a lot of issues with money being the most important thing and people just going after it and doing whatever they have to do to get it rather than working with people and using the dialogues that they said. And one of the things that you and I have both learned from, again, I'll mention our great friend and mentor, John Cheplack, who's still on with us, cheesy dialogues. You know, explain how you work on that avoidance of cheesy dialogues and other things similar to that.
You know, that's a great subject in itself, and John is the expert on that, and I learned from him, and it makes all the sense in the world. So one of the things, we get a little anti-message around here. Nobody here is using scripts and dialogue, so they're generating a lot of business through prospecting. And the reason is because nobody wants to be talked to that way. Hey, Dave, if you felt like you could make more money in less time by listing your house with me today, who wants to be talked to like that anymore? Now, I will tell you, because I'm old enough to be able to say it, in the 80s and 90s, that stuff worked, and you could close people. And what everybody wants to tout, because they want your credit card number. So let me just give you a little insight. Here in my office, we have a thing between me and each agent. Whenever anybody wants to sell you something in this business, you just say this to them. I promised my broker I would talk to them before I gave anybody my credit card number. Because if I wanted to sell you something, Dave, I would need you to believe that if you just had my scripts and dialogues, everything would get better for you. So all I need is your credit card number, Dave, and I'll sell you my CDs and my little booklets, and you can come to my conferences and you can pay me this fee for my coaching program. And I'm going to teach you how to close people, because that's all that's missing for you, Dave, is you just need dialogues and you need to close people. And I'm going to teach you all the different closing techniques. And folks, how many times has that worked for you? When people call you up and try to do that stuff, does it work? It doesn't work. So what I learned from John and what I've learned through practical experiences, don't do that. Try to help people.
Right.
Help your way there. Right. And that goes really anti-message with a lot of the training which is out there, which is trick and manipulate people to get them to do what you want. And I've just never found that to work.
I
I'm not a scripted dialogue person.
And as you're saying that, I'm saying to myself, okay, so am I doing that with my business? Am I doing that? Am I trying to prick and get their credit card? Well, you know what? My approach, shameless plug, real estate skill builder, I believe in doing things differently. I believe that, there's things that aren't really different, but it's different than what every other agent is doing to grab attention, to get exposure, right? And not to trick anybody. It's really building a relationship before you even know anyone, which is, I think, better of being yourself than learning a lot of cheesy dialogues. Now, I know that it's good to know what to say and when to say it, but I also know that it's extremely possible and can be done and has been done, where you know the dialogue, but it comes out in your own speak. It comes out in your own personality, and you're not really selling. You're just like, sometimes someone might need a push, or sometimes someone might need to be reminded of what their desires are, So that's 100% of exactly what's going on. And agents, I think there's just too much work on scripts and dialogues, but practicing those to get, like, it's the old thing, like, what was that movie? Karate Kid. Remember that? Where he wasn't getting taught how to do karate, but all of a sudden he realized that he did, right? And I think that's what I'm talking about. You see what I mean by all that, Mike?
Well, I kind of go by the old axiom, Dave, that if you'll just spend your time trying to help other people get what they want, you'll be fine. And that flies in the face of a lot of the sales training that's out there, which is try to manipulate people into doing what you want them to do. And I don't believe that at all. I haven't ever found it to work.
Right.
So it is what they want. And listen to what they're telling you and quit trying to just wait until they take a breath so you can jump in there with your next closing technique.
Well, it's funny you come along with that word listen, and one thing again, I mean, it's so apropos that he's on with us. He always said that listing presentation, make it a listening presentation. And I will always talk to people like that. The more you listen, the better. We seem to talk too much, and I'm guilty of that too. So prospecting for agents, prospecting. Where do you think prospecting? We can pay Zillow, and we can pay Realtor.com. Where do you think have we lost our lust for prospecting? Have we lost how it should work?
I don't think we ever had it, Dave. So I don't know that we lost it. I think for a lot of us, there's a disconnect between what we thought this business was going to be when we got into it and what it actually turns out to be. I think a lot of us thought that, I know I did, and I don't think I'm alone with this, that I'm going to get a real estate license, and then I'm going to go with a big company, and people are going to call me or come into the company and ask for if we can help them buy or sell a home. Right. And we got into the business thinking that's what it was going to be, and it's not that at all. And now we're a little dazed and confused, and what people are out there teaching us to do isn't congruent with who I am. So you're going to teach me these scripts and dialogues, and I'm supposed to cold call people all day, and I'm not going to do that. I didn't get into this business to do that, and nobody's teaching me an alternative strategy. And this big box training that's going on throughout our industry, where we're one size fits all, we're trying to teach everybody to do the same things. Well, I have right now about 93 agents affiliated with my brokerage, which means I have 93 different personalities. And some of them will do that, Dave. Some of them will get on the phone for 2-3 hours a day, and others won't. But I don't think that you have to get on the phone and be the cold call champion of the office to run a productive real estate business. I think there are dozens and dozens of different ways of doing it. And what's important for the individual agent is that they discover and are very aware of what their skills and talents and gifts are, what they're really good at and what they suck at, what I'm willing to do and what I am not willing to do, and then that they have what I call a target audience that goes along with what they're willing to do in their business. So one of my agents is very strong with the for sale by owner approach, and he's on the phone 3 hours a day, and it works for him. And I have other agents at the same exact production level, and they've never made a cold call in their life. And I think all of that's fine. What we have to do as leaders or brokerages is be able to take the individual and figure out what their strengths or weaknesses are, and then help them leverage that. And if we are unwilling to do that, then I think we ought to get the hell out of the business, because it is a people business, and I have to be willing to help the individual agent. I can't really tell them to go out and help other people if I'm not willing to do the same thing. But we have fallen into a trap in this industry of wanting to put hundreds or thousands of people in a room and teach them all the same thing for 3 hours and then tell them all to go out there and implement. And that doesn't work. Most people fail when we do that. But when we can get one-on-one with them and we get vitally interested in that individual, and we have the ability to help them figure out what they can be good at, then we can watch them surge ahead to the next levels in their business.
I think there's a really couple of good points of what you brought out that I want to emphasize. One is, as a broker, it's not sitting your 93 agents in a room and telling them this is what you got to do, go out and implement. It's taking them one-on-one as a team leader or whatever you are, taking them and individually going through what their personality is and see how you can help them implement what they're doing. Because, you know, there's no one size fits all, except, I don't know, maybe rubber gloves. I don't know. I don't know about one size fits all, because it's definitely not me. There's no cookie cutter out there, and it's the individual. And I think that one of the issues, whether you agree or not, is that agents are pushed by either a mentor or a broker or a coach. This is the way it's done. This is what you have to do. Now go do it. And I believe that builds to the frustration. And if you take a good agent and they can't achieve the next level because they're trying to implement something that's just not in them, I think that's part of the issue. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think we have to, as companies, as brokerages, we have to be willing to get down to the individual level. But it is easy, and this kind of goes back to that one thing, right? What we do, because it is easiest, in my opinion, is we put everybody in a room, we teach them how to do one thing, we'll label them as losers if they don't do the one thing, and then I can say that I offer great training. I'm a training company, Dave. I offer big group training every day. Makes me a training company. Yeah, you do. It's all crap, but you do offer training every day, so you're not lying. It's just not effective, and people say they stay stuck. And I always send them off to other people's training, and they'll put thousands of people in a ballroom,
right?
And they'll run people up on stage page one after another, showing that one way. And if the rest of you, you're just a bunch of losers because you won't do this. And I just have never found that to be true. I think there's so many different ways of really having a great real estate business. But we got to help them. I mean, I think it all starts with us. If we don't know, or we're unwilling, or let's just be honest, we just want to get rich off of this and have hundreds or thousands of people per office with not enough support, then shame on us.
I absolutely, I firmly believe, and it's always been the case where, the more we give, the more we get back. And we don't do it to get back. I mean, the investment we make in ourselves and the people that we care about is the most important thing. Like, we have a comment from Joe Eamon. He says, "Great job, Mike. Proud to be a part of your organization." That's, in and of itself, they're watching you. They know you're on, and your company, your people are watching. And just one other comment we have here.
Oh, they're watching.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So we got a very I'm going to say a old friend of mine, Brian Valls. He says listening has to be the key to sales, solution selling, challenger sales. Brian and I we go back a few years. We are on a college fencing team together, Brian and I, and we learned a lot from each other over the years. But anyway, the point is that helping the agents on an individual basis. I want to go into one other thing, which we briefly touched upon earlier before we came on, and it was technology. Now, everybody is so in tune with, what's the latest technology? I've got to get AI, and what company's using AI, and what about cryptocurrency, and how do I do a deal with cryptocurrency? And then there's CRMs, and there's, lead generators like Zillow, and how many thousands am I going to pay Zillow just for me to make a living? I got to learn how to convert. Oh shit, I suck at that. How am I going to do that? I basically think about client acquisition and how an agent can acquire clients. Is the technology an important part of it, and does it matter?
Well, I love the technology that I have and I use. And I guess if I was the president of a really large brand, I would be touting technology, from screaming it from the mountaintop, because it is the new sexy buzzwords that are out there. But at the agent level, here's what I know. It's not anybody's problem right now. I mean, there's nobody that I know. And if you're this person, please message me today, because I'd love to interact with you. They said, "Hey, if I just had another technology tool, if I had some voice command technology, I would have sold more homes last year." No, that's a bunch of crap. That's not true. It's not anybody's problem. It's just the new sexy thing for big brands to talk about right now. And if they want to pursue that, I guess that's great. We need to go to work, and we need to interact with people, and we need to help them. And I don't know that I suffer from a lack of technology right now. What most of us suffer from is a lack of business, because we're not touching and interacting with enough people every day. And so we get confused with the noise and the bright, shiny objects that are swimming past us every day. All the distractions are out there. I don't know anybody that's suffering from a lack of technology tool. Now, if you tell me that next year this time I'll be able to talk to my laptop instead of type on it, I don't know. Fine. Great. I guess that's cool. But will I sell more homes because of that in less time? I don't know. I don't think so. What I need to be able to do is interact with people at a more relevant level.
So I would guess from what you're saying that we'll never be replaced. Is that what you're saying?
I think people are trying to replace us, and I wish them luck with that. But I also reference like the Real Trends study that just came out, where the consumer dependence on real estate agents is actually going up as more choices come to the consumer. More consumers than ever before are choosing to work with the real estate agent. All these choices and all these technology makes a complex transaction even more complex. and to take out the human factor. If we're going to help people, now look, if you're just going to try to trick me, manipulate me into doing something, yeah, then I don't need you.
Right.
But what I really need is a trusted advisor to help me guide me through what is a very complex transaction. My wife and I just bought a house this week. We just closed this week. And Dave, I've done this before, right? And I get done with it, and I had a call with and I was just telling somebody that, you know what, I think license law needs to be changed. I think we all need to be required to move every 5 years because, hey, I am so connected with our customers right now. It's unbelievable. I fully get what they're going through. You're going to tell me you're going to take a trusted advisor out of that equation? I don't think so. But I know people are trying.
Yeah, they are trying. And you know, I mean, I think I put into my coaching business, I put in the phrase art of differentiation because I've always been different. These people have told me that.
Yes, you're very different, Dave.
Thank you, sir. I think that is a compliment. And the whole thing is, like I said, it's what others won't do. And 80%, 90% of what I talk about, nothing is manipulative. And you know, I'm always out to promote myself, but there's a way to promote yourself and to get business and to be that trusted advisor, which is what everybody should be, but they're really not doing that. It's more manipulative. And that's the problem I think we have. Being replaced, that's not going to happen. Because like you say, I mean, you just went through it. And I think that's one thing of the license laws that they really can't change is that make sure we move every 5 years. It makes sense, you know. The license laws are where they are. Everybody does say there is not really a barrier to entry, and that's okay because it's not going to change. So what we need to do is I'm going to say it again, be as nice as we possibly can, and that will come back to us. Mike, is there anything else you want to come out with or say and talk about before we wind down now?
I would just encourage the agents that are on the call to have two things, and it's a hard business. It didn't look hard to me before I got in. It actually looked pretty easy, and the money looked big, and none of that's true at all. It's not a complex business. We don't need advanced degrees to do this. It's incredibly hard, but it's not complex. I would urge every agent to have two things. Have a target audience. Be able to answer this question. This year, who is going to buy and sell homes with you? Who is that? And be very defined. I mean, really get it down. If you're doing less than 20 transactions a year, really get the answer to that question down inside 1,000 people. That's how defined the group needs to be. The second question is, once you can answer who is going to buy and sell homes with you, then what are you going to do every day, 5 days a week? What are you going to do to make that happen? And that's your strategy. And there should be 4 to 6 things that when you wake up this morning, you go, these are the people that are going to buy and sell homes with me. And here's the 4 to 6 things that I do every day to make sure that happens. And if you can answer those 2 questions, you will start to see traction in your business much quicker.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I mean, we've had I'm so lucky. This thing I started 45 weeks ago, Real Estate Talk TGIF, and I do start it. Thank God it's finale. That thing, it made sense. That's why I called it that. It was fun. But this has been, a great session, as is all the sessions we've been doing. And I've been so lucky to have great people on. I just want to give you a quick promo over the next 3 weeks. And you know what? They're all a connection through a lot of people here. Next week, we have Ryan Hodge. Ryan Hodge is coming on next week from the realty firm in London, Ontario. Coach, broker owner, guy who his first year did 100 deals his first year. The week after, we have none other than Steve Pastinelli, who is the chief marketing officer of BombBomb. I met Steve when he was going office to office selling Top Producer 20 years ago. And then at the end of the month, we have Matt Allman with PRMG, as well as social networks out in California. So we've got some great people, and Tom Ferry in June. I think I just throw that in there. And this has been really great for me. And I just want to thank again, Brian Balls again is on, is saying, I would think that technology, CRM specifically, would be of utmost importance to be able to interact more effectively with your prospects. CRM will allow your agents to be more effective and efficient. As a broker, it should allow you to maintain accurate databases of clients and prospects to mitigate turnover and loss opportunities of repeat business and referrals. He's a believer in AI and social media as technologies and movements that will affect your business as well. I think that's a great line from Brian. What do you think?
Absolutely. I would finish up on my side with this, Dave. I was told early on in my career to investing in yourself is the best investment you can always make. And when I joined Century 21, the first thing I went to their conference that year, and that's investing in yourself. And when I was there, I got to meet John Cheplack, and John changed a lot of the views I had because I just heard him for 30 minutes and I knew he was right. It just intuitively. And then through John, I got to know you, and we got to know Ryan, and we got to know a lot of other people who really have helped me adjust my mindset and get better. And folks, it all starts with investing in yourself. These things grow on a Dave. It's been good for me to know and watch you, and that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't started with investing in myself and gotten to know John. So I hope everybody will do that. If you're a professional, make the investment in yourself. Before you put it in the stock market, put it into yourself. That's
exactly it. I mean, when I first got in this business, it's a long story, which I won't go into, but talk about investing in yourself. I have worked along with John, I worked with John over 10 years. Along with John, I worked with Joe Stump, Dean Jackson, Mike Koenigs. Let's see, who else? I'm going to miss Tom Ferry, a little bit with Mike Ferry, Brian Buffini. And all of these people make us what we are, and it allows us to do what we do. I mean, if it wasn't for all those names I just mentioned, I wouldn't have the basis and have the return on my investment, which is what I'm doing right now. I invested in coaching for myself, and I got the return on the investment, being able to help people myself in a manner of speaking the way they helped me. And that's what I tried to do as a broker. And obviously, Mike, what you're doing as a broker is a lot different than most team leaders and most brokers. And I want to thank you for doing that. And of course, thanks for being on this show for me.
Hey, it's been fun.
Good. Well, Mike, tell people about you, about how to reach you if they're interested in your area and your pages that you promote on Facebook. And we didn't get a chance to talk to the path to 20 million, but talk about that too.
So that's a group page that I got, and I stole the idea from other people. I steal everything. Hopefully give them credit. But so the Path to 20 Million is a group page that I have on Facebook. It's a resource center for real estate professionals, hopefully. You can follow my personal page. It's Prewett, Mike Prewett. My email address is mikep@c21connectrealty.com. And glad to interact and with everybody. It'd be fun.
Great, and thank you for that. And I just want to do a little bit more name dropping of names I forgot, like Grant Wise and Rebecca Mountain and Ryan Stuhlman, all these people that I've been involved with as coaching and helping. It's just an investment you make, and I just wanted to say those names because there's a lot more that I'm not even remembering. Ronnie George could be one. A lot of people, and it's just so important to invest in yourself and to listen. And just work it through your own way. Anybody who wants to get in contact with me, you can DM me here on Facebook, and all my information is there, my phone number, my email address. If you'd like to talk about getting together and working together, please go to reskillbuilder.com, or you can set up a time to have a conversation. Mike, again, thanks so much for coming on and doing this with me, and I look forward to seeing you again somewhere down the line.
Okay, take care, everybody.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.